Welcome to our second masterclass today in the Set It, Get It, Crush It, No BS Motivational Masterclass series. That's quite a title, isn't it?
No BS the way that I like it. 100%.
So if you're joining us live today, guys, welcome. It's such a blessing to have you guys here.
Even though it's a public holiday in Australia.
It is today, isn't it? Yesterday we had an incredible masterclass today, so we're going to be talking a little bit about that today and sort of following on. But if you guys are here live, we just encourage you to keep your microphones muted. But if you do want to chime into the conversation, we would love that. So we encourage you just to type in the comments today so we can see them popping up.
Jump into the chat and we'll be more than happy to answer anything that you have.
Absolutely. All
so
right.
Let's introduce first, I guess.
Yes. Look, if this is the first time that we have met, maybe you're listening to the audio replay of this. I'm Amanda. This is Jared. We're from Fit to Last Fitness. And
so if you're listening to the audio replay, she just pointed to herself and then to me.
That's exactly how that went, yeah. So, what do we do, Jared? Look,
Too much.
Do a lot.
We do everything.
Both Jared and I have been in the health and the wellness fitness industry for over 10 years each. We have experience between us with, personal training. We're group fitness instructors, international master trainers. We coach. We're mindset coaches, business coaches. And one of our prized passions is to be able to help people that have really lost their way. They've lost their motivation, their mojo, their essence for life, really, and what it is that they're all about.
Let's be real here. Mine's Xbox, but also that.
Okay, I was just talking about work stuff.
Just being honest.
So, as you can see, we're very humorous, we think.
One of us is.
But
you figure out which. I got some feedback yesterday about that. Some people messaged me about that and said...
One person did, not some.
No. This is the camera. We talk differently.
No, but only one person did,
A number of people. One is a number. One is a number.
One.
Stop. Respect your seniors.
Go on.
A number of people messaged me and said, yeah, you're the funny one.
That number was one.
One more than you got, though.
But well done. So, guys, feel welcome to let me know how humorous I am today. I'd love more than one. So, anyway, as you can see, it's a very light-hearted chat with us today that we would love you to chime in on. However, we are going to feed it to you straight. Our theme for these masterclasses is all about no BS. So,
and if you know us personally, you know that we are generally quite like this too.
For sure.
No BS. I prefer not to dance around it. I'd just rather bluntly say it.
Yeah, so let's bluntly get into today.
All right.
Now, yesterday was all about, we actually looked up the definition of what the word insanity is, and it said it was doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again and expecting that you're going to get a different result.
Which is something we do in the health and fitness industry all the time.
Absolutely. So we talked about, people coming up with these goals for themselves surrounded to their health, their wellness, their fitness, their mindset, or it could be like your career, your relationship, your finances, whatever. But every year, let's say we're talking about the new year, they're just on that merry-go-round of doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting...
wondering why that it didn't work last year. Why didn't it work this year as well?
Yeah, and so
same thing.
We gave a little homework task, didn't we? So if you've done the homework task then and you're with us live today, it would be incredible for you to whip those answers out because they're going to be really handy for what we're going to talk about today. And if you haven't done it yet, don't worry, it's all good.
You can catch up later.
Yeah, you guys can catch up later. But some of the homework we talked about was like, what are some of the problems that you've had with your health, your fitness, your wellness in the past? How long have there been problems for you? And what are the things that you consistently keep repeating to try and resolve those problems? And we really wanted you to get vulnerable and honest with yourself about what BS you've been feeding yourself around why you're still where you are.
Yep, absolutely. But you can go back and you can always watch that one. So what's the topic for today?
So that leads us into today. Now that you know what your problems are and where you've just been hanging out on the merry-go-round, today we're going to talk all about how to get motivated towards what it is that you actually want to achieve, how to get clear on what it is that you want to achieve and why, how to stay motivated and to stop excusing yourself all the time and basically sabotaging yourself into staying where you are.
Yeah, and that does happen a lot, which brings us to an interesting point here. It's something that we talked about before doing this too. Something I looked up and I was like, yeah, this is going to be quite interesting. I want to know a bit more about this. The big difference between, I guess, an excuse and a reason.
Yes.
Now, that's two different things.
Often, I also like to use the word barrier. Barrier and reason can be the same thing, right?
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but there's definitely a difference between that and excuse.
So if we think about it like this, a barrier or a reason is you just explaining why you did it. I couldn't go to this because my car broke down. That's a reason. That's not an excuse why you didn't do it. It's a reason. I couldn't get to work on time this morning because my car broke down. If that legitimately happened, that's a reason. All right? An excuse is you justifying why you didn't do the thing. Could be justifying it to somebody else, but in terms of health, fitness, and wellness, an excuse is justifying to yourself. I didn't reach my goal, but you know what? It's because I didn't have time and I had to run around and do this. And then I did work today as well, so that's why I didn't do my workout this morning. I didn't eat healthy this week, but that's because I didn't have time to go to the grocery. These are excuses.
I had a birthday party to go to and blah, blah, blah. Like, you understand what we're saying, right?
An excuse is a justification. You're trying to get off the hook. You're trying to get someone to cut you some slack. It's usually you. You're trying to get yourself to cut you some slack and not feel bad about why you didn't achieve the thing that you said you were going to achieve.
Yeah. Now, are we allowed to swear on this?
I don't know. If you have children, cover their ears, please.
Here's what I want to say. We sure as shit know that you've probably done that because we definitely have.
Everybody does it. It's knowing when to pick that up. When it's an excuse and going, yeah, actually, you know what? That's crap. That's an excuse.
That was BS.
That was BS. I didn't do the thing today because I literally did not have a spare minute. Didn't you? Didn't you really? Was there a time where you just were on the go 24 hours of that day that you did not stop and do something else? And look, getting your goals is about sacrificing things. Sometimes little sacrifices, sometimes big sacrifices. It's like anything. It's like trying to save money. You have to sacrifice something. I'm not going to buy that because I know I need to save up for this. That's a sacrifice. But you cannot say, oh, I didn't save up for that because I had to pay all these bills and I had to do this and I had to buy lunch out today because I was out. I couldn't have eaten at home, or all this rubbish. That's total nonsense. And this is self-sabotage. This is you making yourself feel better about why you didn't follow through with what you said you were going to follow through with. And look, trust us, a little secret on where Amanda and I are right now too, and she's probably going to bring this up later again.
I'm definitely going to bring this up later.
Our eyes are literally hanging out of our heads from the lack of sleep and the amount of work that we've done. We went to bed another 2 a.m. this morning, and we were doing physical work. I was doing some live streams, teaching some fitness classes.
Anyway.
And we didn't get sleep till all hours. We were up again this morning doing personal training sessions at like 6 a.m. And we went and taught some classes. So not excuses.
Like 4 hours sleep or something.
Not excuses. We're not making an excuse for it. We're here. We're still doing the thing. Okay. We said we're going to be here. We're following through with it. We could have said, you know what? All those reasons. I'm tired. We did this. My body's tired. It's a public holiday. Let's just put up a thing and say, you know what? We won't do it today. We'll come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we'll do it tomorrow. And that would be an excuse. We're not doing that. So that's what we want you to understand. That's the difference between. Of course, there are going to be things that make it more challenging for you to do the thing, for you to follow through with what you said you were going to follow through with. But an excuse is just you trying to let yourself off the hook.
Pretty much.
And that's all. It's like when you get a speeding fine. Cop pulls you over. Do you give them a reason why? My mother is literally in hospital right now. She just got rushed. That's a reason. Doesn't excuse the fact An excuse would be, oh, but I was looking at this and then this happened and I wasn't speeding and I was doing it. That's all excuses why you want to get let off the hook. Give them the sob story. Give them the made up stuff. That's an excuse. Okay, so we want you to understand the big, big difference between an excuse, which is you trying to justify to somebody else or yourself why you didn't follow through with what you said you were going to do.
And what's really interesting about defining, and we're gonna talk about this next, but defining the difference between an excuse and a reason or a barrier,
an actual barrier,
is when you, I've got this really itchy nose, is when you look at what it is that you wrote for your homework mission yesterday, which was having a look at what are the problems that you've created in your life, and how long have they been problems for you. It's gonna be a very interesting, and I'm sorry if this triggers you, but
if it triggers you, you'll get somewhere.
If it triggers you, then you probably need to hear it. When you look at that list again that you wrote from yesterday's masterclass, and you look at all the problems that you've currently got, it would be very interesting to understand the reasons why they are still problems with you, for you, and are they actually a reason, or are there some excuses that you've been using around why you haven't achieved the thing?
Yeah, I can't commit to that because X, Y, Z. You probably can if you shuffled some things around. If it's time related, there's always something you can do. There's always time you can make up. We do it too. And we have excuses sometimes for different things, but you've just got to get past that and you've got to say, actually, you know what, I actually can do it. It's going to be harder. It might be more challenging in the short term. It's like if I want a degree, but I work full time and I cannot afford to give up my day job to study, what's the option? I can either say as an excuse, well, I definitely can't go down that career path because I just don't have the time to study. Or I could suck it up and go, you know what, I'm going to have to study at night time. I'm going to have to do night school. I'm going to have to take my lectures online. I'm going to have to sacrifice some things on the weekend. Think about it.
It's short-term sacrifices that will give you long-term gratification often. And that's kind of where, and we're going to talk about this a little bit soon, the difference between like motivation and discipline, right?
We'll get to that.
We're going to get to that, but it's, short-term sacrifices will give you long-term gratification. Okay. But the question is how willing are you? Like, how much do you want the thing? How important is it to you to achieve the thing?
Whether it's a degree,
to make
whether
a
it's a
sacrifice or not, right? And that leads us into kind of the next point of what we wanted to talk about next is like
how to get motivated.
How to get motivated, right? Because
it's not rocket science.
It's actually really not rocket science. It's actually really simple, okay?
Two things.
And the funny thing is that as humans, because we're so full of excuses and justifications for ourselves, we make it so complicated to be motivated about the thing that we want.
We make it so easy to fail. We do make it so easy for ourselves to fail. And we make it so complicated to get the things that we want. And I don't know whether that's because now we're in a fast food society of instant gratification.
We are
If I can't get the thing straight away, then I don't want it. If I can't literally, it's like you see people in shops. If you work in retail, you've probably experienced this. Someone comes in that says, I want this. I'm sorry, we'd have to order it. No, I don't want it. You can't wait 2 days for it?
And
no, because I want it right now.
And what's really interesting is that, it's actually not our fault a lot of the time that we have been conditioned this way. We live in a world now where, things like lay-by aren't even a thing anymore because we have Afterpay.
We have to have it right now.
We have Afterpay. We have Zip Pay. We have, all of these things where like you can literally purchase a product worth thousands of dollars that you do not have the money for and have that product sitting in your house today that you have not paid for. So what's happened is we've conditioned ourselves to, it's like a belief we've installed in ourselves without even realizing it at a subconscious level that we need to have the thing. We deserve the thing. We are worthy of the thing now.
That's why Netflix is so popular. I want to watch it and I want to watch it now. I'm not going to watch it on real TV, which means I have to wait till next week
for
the episode.
I have to put up with ads.
Yeah, I don't want that. I got to have it all right now.
Yeah.
That's normal. It's normal behavior now. And you know one thing funny, before you get onto this, look back to our parents and probably even further back as our grandparents' generation. They didn't make excuses for everything. They actually just shut up and they did it. Oh, seriously.
But that was the generation that they lived in.
Exactly.
Right?
It's different now. And that's not your fault or our fault for living in this generation. But if you think about it, they wanted it. They just went, you know what? This is the way I have to do it. If I want to buy the house, I have to save up for it. And I've got no other choice. Yeah. I work hard and I save for it.
What's the roadmap on
how
to get
They didn't go, oh, you know what? We can't make that happen. I don't remember hearing that a lot of the time from families who fed children that on hardly any money, or lots of things that we would just go, that's too hard. We can't live like that.
Or a lot of the time we hear or see or witness now, it's like, what's the shortcut on how to get there?
Show me that. I don't want the real version.
Show me the fastest way I can get there without putting any effort in.
Yeah.
Without having to wait, right? Without having to sacrifice anything. And again, it's often not our fault that we live in a society that is now conditioned this way. However, now that you're aware of this, you get to choose whether you want to be awake to that or whether you're going to go moving around the rest of your days with your eyes shut, living in an instant gratification world.
And whether you actually want the long-term result of it. Yeah. Whatever it is, a career change, a change to your health and fitness, a change to your body, a change to your mind, a change to your confidence, whatever. Do you want the long-term result, or do you just want the instant gratification of today and I'll worry about tomorrow when it comes?
So we said before, like it's really simple. It's not rocket science, and often we've just made it so complicated for ourselves, or we're not, and this leads me to my point, we're not clear enough on what it is that we want and why we want it. And because you haven't done the work to be able to get clear on that, of which I'm going to show you next, we then feel the effects of, like, you might have taken a bit of action, get started, it got hard.
A little bit.
And then what happens is, because we're not clear enough on why we want the thing, we will, without even realizing it, sabotage ourselves so we don't have to do the hard thing. And then when we've sabotaged ourselves, the excuses come. I couldn't do it because this, that. No, you just sabotaged yourself from not achieving the thing.
And this rings true even for me. I can think back many times in my life where this has been a thing.
I'm sure literally every human on the planet can.
Yeah, it's like saying, okay, well, why didn't you go for that career? Why didn't you go for that job even? I was just, it would have been too hard. I couldn't have done that. It's like, okay, you mean you couldn't have been bothered going through the application? Or you couldn't be bothered doing the course that would give you the skill to do it? Yeah, there's a million reasons why I was just going to do it. That wouldn't have lined up with my lifestyle. I couldn't have worked those hours. Of course you could.
So one of the things that that I have personally found that works really well for me, and also for my clients, I put it into a little bit of a 7-step process in terms of how to get very clear on what it is that your goal is, right? And we've seen this a lot, hey, like, with our personal clients that we coach and stuff. It's like all of a sudden if you watched yesterday, a penny drops for them.
She got it now.
Yeah.
What did you say yesterday? It was stupid.
The penny clicks.
Penny clicks.
So it's like all of a sudden when they get clear using this simple process, the penny drops and they're like, that's the piece that was missing. Now, would you like to know what the piece is that's missing?
Yes, please.
You've got to find what your what is, but more importantly, you've got to find what your why is. So yesterday we talked about, for example, if we take a health, fitness, wellness goal, the woman who wants to lose 10 kilos.
That's what she wants.
That's what she wants.
I want to lose 10 kilos. Okay.
And cool. As a personal trainer, she comes to me and she says, I want to lose 10 kilos. And I'm like, fantastic.
We can make that happen.
Do that.
But is it going to drive you?
The questions that then follow are what is more important than her wanting to lose 10 kilos, right? So if I was an average trainer, an average coach, I would more than likely be like, great, let's go. Get on that treadmill. Haul your ass. And I would just ride her without really knowing anything about her lifestyle or the fact what's the actual reason she wants to drop 10 kilos. I'm just going to make the 10 kilos happen. Yep. Okay. That's fine.
So what's the problem with that?
So the problem with that is that motivation to lose the 10 kilos only lasts this long.
So when it gets hard,
then the self-sabotage starts to happen. The reasons or the excuses start to happen. I would likely then see her starting to cancel her sessions or turning up irregularly. And then not long after that, boom, see you later. And it might be 6 months that goes by, and then she'll jump on the merry-go-round again and go and find another trainer.
Or come back to you, but it's
still the same thing. Whatever, right? So what you need to do is, first of all, find out what your what is. And let's say your what's losing 10 kilos, okay? Could be anything. The next question is the most important question you're ever going to ask yourself, and that is, why do I want to lose the 10 kilos? Or insert your goal here, okay? Now, the reasons why...
You might not know that straight away.
Yeah.
You might not know immediately.
That might take you a journaling session or 5 to come up with that. That might take you some very honest questions with yourself to come up with the answers why. Yeah. Now, let me tell you some of the answers that I have had in the past when people have come to me and said, I want to lose 10 kilos, right? Once I dived in, it was because my mother died of a heart attack at 52 years old, and I'm 42 right now, and I'm fucking terrified. Okay. There was, lots of things that came up around like health issues, longevity of life. We talk about leaving a legacy for our children, being great role models for our children, not wanting to be the mum at the park that can't run around with her kids, and having that as the lasting memory for those children. I could go on and on and on and on. I'm very passionate about this subject. Yes. My point is what am I trying to say here? What will be the consequence of you not getting clear on your why and having a very grade idea of what it is that you want to achieve? Okay, so I would really encourage you to get out pen and paper, get clear on what it is that you want, and more importantly, why you want it.
Why do you want it? I want to lose 10 kilos because I want to feel good about myself when I go out in public. These are just the reasons. So we're just trying to give you examples of making sense of that what. The what is great. Everybody knows what. I want to save for this. Okay, cool. I want to lose 10 kilos, but why do you want it? I want to feel good when I go to the beach. I want to have some confidence around the people that I hang out with. And you hear this all the time, I want to look good naked. I want to be happy with myself in the mirror.
Yeah. I legitimately had a conversation with a woman once around her sex life.
Or a woman, just one of them maybe.
A woman, yes. Around her sex life with her husband. She was so open with me about the fact she hadn't been naked with him in, it was a couple of years.
Yeah, and this is normal stuff.
This is very it was very raw and very vulnerable. And let me tell you, once we dived to the bottom of that and we started to get the result, because she got so clear about what it is that she wanted, when those training sessions happened, or when I would contact her and to hold her accountable, which is what she asked me to do, or whatever it was that we were working on in our game plan to get her the result, when it got hard, that was the reason why she kept going.
Yeah, because just saying 10 kilos is not going to drive you once it gets tough. Yeah. So
without going into too much detail, there were more benefits that came from her achieving the goal afterwards, if you get my drift. And, all's well that ends well. But if you're going to write anything down today, if you're going to take anything away from today's masterclass, here's what it is. Grab your pen. Your why will be the reason that you always do something or don't do something. Okay? If it aligns with you and it's really, really important to you, that why will be the reason that you will make time. You will find the money. You will create money for it. You will put aside things that maybe you prioritized or thought were important that are not. You will spend your time doing the things that you need to do in the short term to get the long-term gratification, and vice versa. If it's not important to you,
then you'll make excuses.
No. What I was going to say is, like, if they're spending their time doing things that don't align with their goal, more than likely their why will say, you don't need to do that anymore. Yeah? You will get very clear on what it is that you're spending your time on, which relates to what we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. So does that make sense to all of you? Well, hopefully it does.
Yeah.
That your why is the most important thing in this whole equation.
If you're listening,
what you want is good, but without why, it doesn't matter.
I was going to say, if you're listening in live, like, if any of this is triggering you or resonating with you or something's popped up, like, drop us a comment. We would love to see it pop up, and kind of hear whether this is
and maybe you've never even thought about why you wanted something. Maybe you just knew what your goal was. A lot of people are like this. I have a goal of doing X, Y, Z.
Carol says yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. But I think a lot of people do. They know what they want because they just pluck it out of the air. I want to do this. Awesome. But most of us rarely ever understand why we want to do that.
Did you know, I don't know whether you knew this, it's something that I teach a lot when I'm doing like mindset coaching, is that we actually only use 10% of our brain, our mind, so let's say,
I think most people know this, actually.
Let's say, you've got your, like, the forefront of your mind here, which is your conscious mind. We actually only use that, like, about 10% of that. 90% of what we think about, the way that we do life, the beliefs, the stories, the behaviors that we have come from a subconscious level.
Yeah.
And they come from a place of things that you learnt in your, what I like to call your imprint years. Okay. So that's a whole other masterclass talking about that. But basically, in the first 0 to 7 years of your life, you have learnt behaviors, stories, beliefs through no fault of yours. It was just what you were taught. And without you even realizing it, you have taken those into your life, and then they've manifested in other ways through various situations, relationships, jobs, whatever that you've been in. And that's basically the way you do life now. So
that's right.
It's not your fault. It just is what it is. But now that you're aware of it, you get an opportunity to decide whether what you're doing is still aligning with you or not.
And once you realize things like this, once you're aware of something, you can no longer use the excuse of, oh, that's just how I did things, or that's what I was brought up with. Once you're aware of that stuff, it can no longer be an excuse. When it's subconscious, it's a reason. This is why, because you're not aware of this stuff. This is why I do this. This is why I react this way. This is why I have those opinions towards those people. Once you're aware of that, you can't keep relying on that as your fallback of, am I hitting you there? Your fallback as to why I act this way. Because if you know, then you acting that way, you're just letting yourself off the hook. I am this way because of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense to act that way anymore. But now let's get to another good point, because we're talking about motivation. How important is motivation really towards getting your goals? Is it the be all and end all?
Yesterday when we talked about, if you guys have listened to the masterclass yesterday, I was referring to that podcast that I listened to where we talked about the percentage of people that set New Year's resolutions, and then by day 12 of the new year, it was like 82% have given up, right? And that's kind of where that, we were saying before, like, motivation's only this long. There's only so long you can ride the motivation train.
Yeah, and everybody thinks, it's funny that we talk about this, because everybody always thinks that, they say, I'm not motivated enough to do it. I was, but I'm not now. That's exactly how it's supposed to work. Motivation is a very small part of the equation, guys. Motivation is literally just putting the key in and turning it. That's all motivation does. And a really good friend of mine described it quite well. So what I want to talk about right now is very quickly motivation versus discipline. And which one of those two things is the thing you should be focusing on more than the other. So when you think about it like this, and the reason why, as I just said, we always talk motivation. It's not a big part of it. It's actually not a big part of it all. It's just what gets you started.
It's sort of the ignition.
It's the ignition. That's all it is. But the ignition, you launch a rocket ship to the moon, the ignition is only a small part of that. That's only a very small part of the journey. It's important at the time, but when you look at the whole trip, it's not that big of a deal.
If you take that scenario that I mentioned before, but this is a true story, a previous client of mine that had, she was 42 and her mother passed away of a heart attack at 52, right? And so, she was faced with a health scare, knowing that it was only 10 years difference, right? Now, that's going to be pretty motivating, I feel, to be able to do something about it.
It's going to start you, but it's not going to carry you.
That's the ignition. It was going to the doctor's appointment and hearing that she was having a health scare.
But motivation is not something you come around to every day. You can't use that to get up and go again today. I'm not feeling motivated today. Yep, that's going to happen. Of course that's going to happen. On Monday, I was so motivated, but by Wednesday, I'm just not motivated anymore. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it works.
Hi, welcome to being human.
Do you drive your car by stalling it all the time and going, better start it up again? Of course you don't. That's stupid. It doesn't work like that. So I want to talk about motivation versus discipline. And a really good friend of mine put it so well, I don't even think I can do it better myself. So we're going to use that. Think about it like this. Motivation is literally like lighting a match. And I want to really instill this into you. Motivation is lighting a match. Now, how long is that match going to burn? It's going to burn bright, but it's going to burn very, very short. What do you have to do with the flame you've just created? You have to light something with it, right? You don't walk around with a match because that's stupid. You light the candle. You light the fuse. You light something. But it's the flame that continually burns from you lighting that match that is discipline. And that is what's going to carry you through, not the lighting the match. The match is the little bit.
It's such a good analogy. The flame is basically the metaphor for the why.
Yeah.
Right? The why, the flame is the reason you'll keep going, but the flame's eventually going to die. It's going to die out.
Your motivation will die.
Like your motivation is saying good analogy. Right, it is a good analogy.
It is a good analogy, and the match part came from my friend. The rest of it I just made up then. So
well done.
Yeah, right?
Well done.
I'm taking at least 60% of the credit for that now.
Well
60%.
But it's true, isn't it? The flame is like the metaphor of the why and the motivation, but it's only gonna, be sustainable
short and fast
for this long. And so when you have got clear and created your why will then turn into the discipline.
And this is why you hear people talk in the fitness circles about routine. Routine is part of discipline. That is I said I was going to do it, and now I've made it a habit. And let's just talk workouts for a second. Let's just break it down to make it really, really simple because it's easy this way. Okay, I said I want to lose 10 kilos. Cool. I'm going to create a habit for that by saying every morning at 6 o'clock, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do my workout. 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever, it doesn't matter. So you get up Monday, you're super motivated. I cannot wait to do it. Let's do the workout. Yes, feel great. Tuesday, I still feel okay. Yeah, it's good. Wednesday, I'm not as motivated now.
I'm pretty sore now.
Not so motivated. Okay, yep. But if I said in my head, I keep saying, okay, no, I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. By the end of that week, you're going to have started developing that routine, that discipline to say, no, I said I was going to do it. I'm going to just get up. And sooner or later, we just stop thinking about it. We just go, get up, do the thing, go to work. Get up, do the thing, go to work.
If there's anybody listening to this, at this point in time when this masterclass is being recorded, I'm actually partaking in my own 60-day mental toughness challenge. If there's anybody that's listening to this, you will know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And you'll be relating to that.
But if you have to get up every day and decide, am I going to light the match again? What happens when you run out of matches? That's your motivation is gone, and you will run out of matches because that's just how it works. You cannot be motivated every freaking day. It just doesn't. Like right now, I'm running on a few hours sleep. I'm not motivated to do anything. But it's the discipline of saying, no, this is what I've said I was going to do. And this is the routine sometimes of what I do. Like, for example, my PT clients this morning, that's a perfect example. That is routine. That is the discipline. No, they have their session at this time and this time. So I get up and I do the thing. If I had to get up.
And same for them.
Yeah, exactly.
They get up and they do the thing.
Perfect. We're accountable to each other. But if I had to get up and go, Amanda, what do you think? Should I cancel them this morning or should I do that? Then it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't
Robin
keep,
says
Robin
here,
says,
I often wonder how you keep the motivation. Robin, we don't. That's what we're saying. We don't.
Back in the
we
days,
are not always motivated.
Nobody is.
But we are disciplined.
Yes.
Okay.
We said we're going to do it, we stick to it. And that is perfectly how I feel with a lot of things that I do with my business. And even as a master trainer, like traveling and doing things, if I said I'm going to do that, be there at the training, and that's what I'm going to do, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to fly. I'm going to get off. I'm going to do the thing, go do the other class that I said I was going to do, go to this place here, and then I'm going to go home. That's the discipline. I said I was going to do it. The schedule is set for me. I'm doing it.
There's something I want to add to that, though, is that it's also, and I'm just going to create a total paradox here, but it's also okay, perfectly okay, to course correct and change your mind on what your goal is. Now, that's not an excuse and that's not a reason that you stopped. It just means that the goal that you thought you wanted... I was headed this way and I want to head this way. ...doesn't align with you anymore.
And that's okay.
Because it's also a really dumb thing to keep pushing towards something that really doesn't align with you. Correct. Okay? Like, it's got to light your fire, right? Thank you. So it's got to light your fire.
Still the funnier one.
Therefore, it is okay. And I would definitely encourage you maybe on a quarterly basis, just to
reassess your goals.
Check in, like reassess your goals. Maybe you've got a vision board or you do a little bit of journaling about it. Like reassess yourself, check in with yourself.
And I'm going to counter that with one more thing too. I'm going to counter that with, you cannot just change your goals because the goal got too hard.
Yeah.
You cannot say, I desperately want this, but the only path to get to it, I can't be bothered. That's you making an excuse and creating a state of failure. That's not the reason. If the end goal changes, okay, I really actually, you know what? I don't want this degree now. I actually would prefer to work over in this field. Awesome. Then you change and you go this way.
Yeah, just course correct.
Brilliant.
That's totally fine.
I really want to be a doctor, but you know what? I just can't be bothered putting in the hours, or, 4 years study is too much for me. Well, tough luck. If that's what you want, then that's how you do it.
That's it. And there's one more thing I wanted to add before we...
Give them homework.
No, before we just go back to a point we talked about yesterday.
Homework is coming.
Of course it is.
Always does.
There's one more thing I want to add. It's sort of like, and it's hilarious because, we love fitness so much, but it's like the whole motivation thing is like a HIIT class, right? Because a HIIT class goes like this. Your heart rate goes up, down, up, down. That's what happens with motivation as well. You'll start here, then it goes down. Then you might get a bit of a result, like you lost your first kilo. Oh, I'm back up again. Let's go. And you'll stay up here for a little bit, and then it comes down again. But you've started to create a little bit of discipline. So we're sort of going, then we get another result, boom. And then something major happens. We're down here. And the whole journey, it's not a straight line, let me tell you.
Another really interesting point with that too, and we're going to wrap it up. Trust me, we're going to wrap it up. But this is why people like us exist at the same time, because even though you've got to have your why, and your why is what's going to drive you, sometimes you still need help figuring out the steps or keeping you on the path going, no, you really need to be here today. Or saying, didn't you say you were going to do this? Okay, we need to make sure that we do this.
I truly, hand on my heart, can say I would not be the person that I am. I would not have the business that I have, the body that, does what it can do every day, the mindset that I have, without having invested my time, my energy with people that have already done it before me.
Yeah, and that's probably the real thing is you've got to get success from learning from people who have had that success or understand the steps on the journey or understand the result. Not people who haven't. Okay, not people who haven't. Because obviously their results, if you stay the course, are going to be your results.
Yeah.
In a roundabout way. It's
Yeah.
like saying, okay, I'm going to learn from a PT who has zero fitness, zero strength, is really out of condition. What does that say to you? Well, their results are going to be my results. If they can't do it, how are they going to help me do it?
More than likely. Yeah. And there's someone for everyone.
Yeah, there is someone for everyone.
There is someone for everyone. And that's why it's really, really, really important that when you get clear on your what and your why, that you're going to be so clear on that whoever you find to help you, teach you, mentor you, coach you, whatever, will just feel so aligned for you that it's just an energetic exchange. Like you're going to already know that that's your person, right? Because they just get you. They've been there. They've done it. They know how to get you the result.
Yep.
And it refers back to what we were saying yesterday around, you need a plan and you need patience. And we talked about circle of influence as well. Like, what's the circle of influence that you're ingesting into your life?
Is it people who create excuses constantly?
Yeah. Do you have friendships or family members or a spouse or whatever, people that are influencing you in a way that isn't supporting your goals, or the way that they live their life doesn't align with how you want to live your life? Who are you following on social media? What are you spending your time doing in your downtime? Is it scrolling Netflix or Facebook? Which is okay to do, by the way. It's okay to do. But also, if you have a goal, what do you need to sacrifice? Maybe it's time.
Maybe it's money, maybe it's time.
But maybe you need to not watch as much Facebook or Netflix when you could be putting that time into. Definitely not. Definitely not. You ride my peach saying I'm a workaholic.
But I also say you watch too much Instagram, and Facebook.
All right, that's another masterclass.
That's a whole other series. We're going to do a whole talk on that.
Yeah.
On
the point that we're making is, what are you fulfilling and consuming your life with that is supporting you towards your goal? And does it align with you? And what are you feeling for your life that's not?
All right, so let's give you the homework. Now, the homework, you can write it down, or you're going to have it in a sheet anyway, right? You're going to get it after this in a little email.
Yeah, so like yesterday, if you're registered, we're going to flick you an email shortly with a copy of today's masterclass, and you're going to have a link to the downloadable PDF.
Yeah, but what are the things we want them to do?
So today will be all about, now that we know yesterday's homework around what your problems are and how long they've been problems for you, today we're going to talk about getting clear on, what your what is. And it can be more than one what. You could have a whole list of things that are your what's, what you want to achieve. Then we're going to get even clearer on your why. And I want you to create a giant list of every single reason why you want that what. That was a good tongue twister. And then the last thing that we want you to pop on there is, what are the excuses or reasons or barriers that have held you back in the past from actually achieving the thing, and are they legit or not?
Yeah, when you write them down, have a good look at them. If you put them as a reason,
you might do a column.
Double check that is a reason and not an excuse that you have given yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, like I literally couldn't do the thing because my leg was broken. Reason.
So,
not excuse, couldn't be bothered, had too much on, was busy.
So just before we wrap up, we would love to open the chat box up to anyone who wants to drop us a comment if anything triggered you or resonated with you here in the class today. Like, please let us know what's come up for you. And just while we're opening that chat box up, that leads us kind of into our last masterclass in this series that's going to happen tomorrow. And we're going to talk all about what the most underrated thing is that we believe is actually the most successful thing that's going to get you the result that you want. Okay? It's very simple, by the way.
Everything's simple. Everything is really way less complicated than we all seem to think it is, or we make it out to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we'll do that. You guys get onto your homework.
No comments coming in. That's fine. You guys will see a copy of this replay and the homework coming through very soon. If you need to listen to this again and again and again, please do that.
Make sure you check out yesterday's as well, stage 1 or workshop 1, lesson 1, and do the homework for that as well. It will make a whole lot of sense when you put this all together.
If you've got any questions, comments, or you want to get in contact with us at any time about something you've heard here, bring it on.
Let us know.
Bring it on.
Other than that, that's us signing off then, guys. Enjoy the rest of your public holiday.
Thank you for joining us.
We will see you hopefully tomorrow for the last one.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys.